Hi there, ice cream friends. This is Evan with Ice Cream Equipment Specialists, and we are here with the premier ice cream cart in North America. It is the Nelson BDC8 cold plate cart. If you are in the ice cream business and you want to sell a frozen dessert product out in the streets or inside an event, this is the machine for you, and we're gonna talk about the many different reasons why. If you need a heavy-duty cart that can handle almost anything, the Nelson cart is for you. Now, while we don't recommend it, we have had stories of clients who literally have dropped the cart off the back of a truck and it's still working. That's how strong this cart is. So at its core, the Nelson cart is a cold plate cart. What happens is that the cart is freezing overnight. It's set to freeze down to like -30. When it's freezing all of these walls, and that glycol, that special magical sauce kind of, is getting very cold. You would take the cart out and then you'll be able to use it without being plugged in. That's what's so great about a cold plate cart, is that it can be frozen overnight for 8 hours. 10 is even better. Depending on where you are, how you're using it, you can get anywhere from 6 to 10 hours of use without ever having to plug it in and still keeping cold. Now, you wouldn't actually put your product in the cart overnight because the product would get much too hard. You would freeze the cart down empty without product in it, and then you would place your product in kind of a little bit colder than what you were serving, so that as you're transitioning to the event, it'll be tempered and at the right temperature for whatever your product is. That's using the cold plate style. The other way of using it is that it can, because it's just 115 volt, can be plugged in, and then you can actually change the temperature on the compressor itself to get it at an exact temperature. And this is great, especially if you're scooping product or if you're gonna be inside. That way you don't have to be relying on it just being cold plate. You can actually have it right at the temperature you want. That's the way that you can actually kind of almost use it as a dipping cabinet in a sense, because you can set the temp right where you want it. So as a cold plate cart, plug it in overnight, then you take it out and use it with no power, or plugged in, and then you can have a little more control on the dipping temperature. So that's the kind of the freezing style of the cart. Let's move on to some of the other parts of the machine that I think are great. We joke about it being, kind of built as strong as a tank, but what's also great is it can be as secure as Fort Knox. The great things they have is a locking bar. So in this case, you can just take the locking bar off. It slides in super simple. As you see, it locks in and goes in, and you'll be able to put a little lock right there. And when not in use, you can put the locking bar inside the umbrella holder. One of the things that's really important about the Nelson cart is that it has this super strong handle that's really not going to go anywhere. This handle really allows you to push, pull. It's just strong. It's not rinky-dink. It's not Mickey Mouse, as we call it, right? Really important to see that this is one of the only carts in the market that we know of that has NSF and UL. So depending on where you are in your local health codes, having a cart that's serving things without that certification can mean that you can get shut down by your local health inspector. Here's where the compressor is, and there is a digital thermostat on there that you can then actually change the temp, as I was talking about early. So behind here, you can do that. It leaves the factory preset at a temp, assuming that you're gonna be freezing it and using it as a cold plate cart. Feel free to make sure you reach out to us and we can make sure that you're using that correctly. And then what's really also important is you see just the strength of the chassis here and the thickness of the stainless steel, and having this bumper on there. And you can just see like the really high quality welding and the fact that this unit has some protection. So we have our bumper, we have our plug, we have our certification handle. The umbrella does not come with the unit, but we can order it for you. Locking bar, really heavy duty Troy Hill NSF approved lid. And so now let's go on to the other side and show you the other bumper. If you want to do logos and decals from the factory, that's something that we can help you with. A lot of people also will just get the cart themselves and have a local company just do it. But you'd have this side, the right, and the left, and then you would be able to wrap it with any decal, logo, pictures, whatever you wanted to. And again, it's really important to note that this is made to fit through a normal traditional door frame. And what I think more people should consider and why a Nelson cart is worth the investment, since it does cost more than maybe a smaller dry ice cart, is that fact of using dry ice, how much that costs time after time. And also there are carts that might have little side walls that have frozen plates. But again, with that, you have to take those plates out and then you have to freeze them. They're never gonna get nearly as cold and longer lasting as the special liquid that's inside the walls here for the freezing. If you're just starting out your business, if you have a Nelson cart and maybe a small batch freezer and maybe a tiny blast freezer, you really can be starting a business where you're making it in a commissary and selling it out of here. If you're doing pops or paletas or kulfi, it really is the cornerstone. And if you're already a business that's already been selling ice cream, then having the ability to have off-site sales, corporate catering, weddings, quinceañeras, events, it's a huge addition to your business. This is the normal cart, but there are a lot of additions and add-ons that can be done. So if you have any questions about selling frozen dessert items, please come see us. We'd be happy to talk to you. www.ices.com Cool. Cheers to your sweet success in frozen dessert entrepreneurship.